Thank you so much for staying on. I am Pius Kojobaka, and looking at our stories. President John Mahama has revealed that the recent gains by the Ghana Cedi have played a pivotal role in reducing the country's total debt burden by nearly 150 billion cedis. Speaking during a high-level presidential session at the 60th Annual General Meeting of the African Development Bank and the 51st Annual Meeting of the African Development Fund in Abidjan, President Mahama said Ghana was on track to achieve its medium-term debt sustainability targets far earlier than expected should the Cedi's appreciation continue.
Built a new airport terminal we call Terminal 3, and again we built it on the balance sheet of the Ghana Airports Company Limited, and so that project is paying for itself without sitting on our public debt. And so these are some of the innovative ideas that we need to introduce in order that our debts continue to be sustainable. But also, increasingly, one of the push factors for the debt is the strength of the value of the local currency. Our debt continued to multiply because the Cedi continued to grow weaker. And so you needed more Cedis. Because our public debt is stated in Cedis, the weaker the Cedi becomes against the foreign currencies, the higher it pushes up your debt. Fortunately, some measures we put in place have recently begun to show results, and the Cedi has been strengthening. And so we've reduced our total debt over the last 5 months by almost 150 billion Cedis, which is very significant. And so if that trajectory continues, the target of reaching 55 to 58% debt sustainability by 2028 will be reached by the end of this year. And that means that it gives us fiscal space to begin to invest in the most productive sectors of the economy. But like I said, we need to look inward, boost domestic revenue, cut wasteful government expenditure, fight corruption, and introduce better accountability in governance.
I want to see how longer with the president because he has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to maintaining fiscal discipline as Ghana prepares to exit the International Monetary Fund program by 2026. Addressing the 9th Ghana CEO Summit under the theme, Transforming Business and Governance for a Sustainable Futuristic Economy, President Mahama stressed the importance of responsible government spending and borrowing as the country navigates its economic recovery.
How do we lead a reset for the future? A path to recovery and resilience. Distinguished participants, despite these challenges, I remain optimistic. Ghana has what it takes to recover, not by repeating the past mistakes, but by learning from it and innovating for the future. Let me outline 8 key pillars of the economic resets that we envisage. Number 1 is completing the IMF program with discipline. We'll continue the discipline in government expenditure and borrowing and work to achieve all targets under the Extended Credit Fund with a program with the IMF. We expect to conclude the 4th review of the IMF program in June 2025 with a target to exit at the end of the program in 2026. And thereafter, we'll participate in Article 4 consultations and adopt the policy support instrument framework, signaling Ghana's return to responsible, non-borrowing engagement with the fund.
All right, so let's get on to Zoom and speak with economist Professor Lord Mensah, who is also the head of local government services. And thank you so much, sir, for joining us here on Business Live. And quick one, I want your take on the president's assertions that the recent gains by the Ghanaian Cedi have played a pivotal role in reducing the country's debt stock.
Yeah, that's very, very important. Clearly, if you look at the currency when it was hovering around, 15 thereabout, it tells you that you need more CDs, it's $1. And of course, if you have your debt stock, quoted in points, it tells you that you have to, cough more CDs to look into settlement. Now that the currency is gaining strength, as of yesterday, talking about 10.5, it tells you that, I mean, in terms of our debt stock, you will need, lesser CDs to purchase the dollar. So one way or the other, I mean, it helps, the country when it comes to debt accumulation. And I'm praying that, this will not, give us that kind of complacency so that we'll go ahead to accumulate, more debt. So it is a good thing. And at the end of the day, every country dreams of having its currency, being stronger against, the dollar, especially those countries that have not fixed, their currencies against the dollar.
But the question here is, are you confident with this current trend of the performance of the Cedi, Ghana indeed can achieve its medium-term debt sustainability targets?
Oh, yes. I mean, if it continues with the trajectory that we are going, we should be able to meet, those targets. But then the question that has come to play is how sustainable is this, trajectory of the Cedi that we are witnessing. For me, it will be sustainable if we kick in, our local, policies. As we speak now, it's like we are using, foreign support, like the dollar from gold and other things, to hold up, the currency as we are witnessing. But then if we are not able to kick in, our policies in the real sector, especially in the agriculture sector, we'll end up, using all the reserves we've made, to import, food going forward. So I'm praying that we'll take advantage of, the situation we find ourselves in to ensure that we invest more into agriculture, and not just the investment. We invest and then get impact, So if it's food, we should see food inflation coming down. So at the end of the day, it will tone down, the importation bit of inflation, so that, the current trends in the currency will reflect directly in the ordinary man's, pocket. So from where I sit, it is a good thing. At the end of the day, we're praying that all local policies will kick in to support the trajectory that we find ourselves in now.
That's fine. Let's now talk about the president's comment on the IMF program by way of exit. Do you agree with those who say, well, Ghana should be not being a haste, for example, to exit the program, but should extend the program to stabilize the economy? I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I think if you listen to the president very well, he made mention of, the past mistakes that he's picked a lesson from. And for me, that is the major reasons why Ghanaians voted for him, because they think he's going to learn, some lessons. I mean, this will not be the first time he will take us from IMF. And with the lessons that has been learned, especially when it comes to fiscal discipline, right? And the fiscal discipline is what is helping us, have our currency gaining strength, against the major international currency. So if we continue with this fiscal discipline and then also, throw in the local policies in the real sector, manufacturing and agriculture, we should be able to exit the IMF without necessarily having much problem. Because when you go to IMF, what they tell you is to be financially disciplined, right? And basically, being financially disciplined means you should be able to control your expenditure and ensure that, all the revenue that is, possible to accrue within the country, you should be able to, get them. So basically, that is what IMF is all about. And at the end of the day, if you can do that on your own, looking at the structures that you can put in place, taking into consideration the Fiscal Responsibility Act, and then the Fiscal Responsibility Committee, that will be helping to shape, policies to ensure that government does not go off board. We should be able to handle that. We've all proposed some time ago that, in fact, the country does very well when we tend to be with the IMF. Immediately we exit IMF, then we start, should I quote unquote misbehaving as far as our finances are concerned. But then with the signals we are picking for the past 5 months, if we continue in that direction, I can tell you that we should be able to exit the IMF without, much of a problem. If for 5 months you've been able to accumulate, your gold board have been able to accumulate, 2.5 billion, and you go to IMF for 3.3 billion, I can tell you by the time we end the fiscal year, we should be able to accumulate more than what we've been going to IMF for.
All right.
And it behoves on us to how we use whatever we accumulate. Very, very important.
All right, let me get this from you. Do we stand to lose if the countries extend the program? And is the opposite also the case, that Ghana will benefit if the program is extended?
Well, if we tend to extend the program, I can tell you the restrictions when it comes to our spending, not having the leeway, will be quite problematic. And having access to international market with IMF program will also be, of a problem. But then at the end of the day, if you exit, then you have the liberty to determine which part of, financing you can bite as far as, your economic dynamics is concerned. But at the end of the day, if we stay in the IMF as well, it has its own advantages and disadvantages. We are enjoying some kind of fiscal discipline, right?
Yeah.
And all as a result of being with the IMF. IMF says, read a budget with a deficit that, hovers around 5% to your GDP. You have no choice.
All right.
Don't extend credit to, to pre-finance government activities. All these things are things that help shape the economy as far as the fiscal space is concerned. But if we tend to exit the IMF, then it becomes a problem as to how we will be able to maintain this. But the president has assured us that, the fiscal discipline that is helping the city to strengthen for the past, 5 months, we should be able to continue with that. If we go ahead with that, then I don't think exiting the IMF will be a problem.
Very well. Thank you so much, Professor Lord Mensah, an economist and also the head of local government service. I truly appreciate your time, sir. We want to stay longer on the economy because economist Professor Patrick Isuming is cautioning government against returning to the international capital market to borrow. According to him, such a move could introduce additional risks and challenges to the economy. In an interview with Joy Business, he emphasized that government's focus should instead be directed towards resolving structural issues within the real sectors of the economy, as prioritizing borrowing over economic fundamentals could undermine long-term sustainability and growth.
Capital market, I'm not so sure, but I think it shouldn't be out of our thinking at the moment. We still have fundamental challenges in the economy that have to be addressed. I think the president should focus on. Let's fix the real sector issues. It appears that the recent strong performance of the city seem to have taken too much attention, and we seem to forget that the economy still has real problems. So I think when you have the kind of challenges we have, your focus should be on fixing the challenges and not try to get access to the international capital market. It's fraught with a lot of challenges and dangers. I think at the moment, we should make it clear, as long as we are under the IMF program, we are not going back there. It's part of the deal we signed up to that we are not going back there. So that is the first thing. But currently, global rates are not extremely kind to Africa. The Africa risk premium is still very high. And I think at the moment, we see that our reserves position are strong and the city is doing well. So it looks attractive to go and borrow. But that's not always going to be the case. So we've borrowed at the past at extremely high interest rates and not being able to service the debt is what has brought us here in the first place. So I think that we have to tread cautiously.
Now, the Institute of Economic Affairs has called on the government to match the recent appreciation of the cedi with increased domestic production in order to ensure stability. Speaking at an IEA forum on the implications of U.S. tariffs on Ghana and Africa, senior fellow Dr. Vladimir Entry-Danso said the cedi's appreciation alone cannot cure the country's economic woes.
Little economics tells me that the worse your currency or currency hemorrhage, It's not a bad thing for an economy. What we should be doing is to be concentrating on export, concentrating on production, concentrating on the job market, to be able to have many things produced over here and for export. Then the cedi will appreciate by itself. But this artificial kind of appreciation, just because we have injected some more dollars into the economy, it's not going to stay. It's not going to stabilize. The stabilization, how many times have we seen this? We see stabilization, we're saying that, the cedi has appreciated, and the government claps, government upon government will be clapping or patting themselves on the shoulder. And what happens? The cedi starts depreciating again. I mean, during President Kufuor's time, when we hived off 4 zeros, the cedi was bigger than the dollar. I mean, more, it appreciated. One cedi was higher than the dollar. Did it stay? So staying the cedi in its stable manner, it's not the injection of more dollars into the economy, and therefore we have our forex, appreciating, and therefore the cedi appreciating. It's not the answer. We must do more. We must try and be an export economy, and that is the only way you stabilize your currency. That's the only way you make the other currency lower or stronger. So what we are doing is that we are not stabilizing permanently. We'll relapse. By December, I believe that will relapse. And I'm saying this from a technical point of view, and I'm not doing politics with it. What I'm trying to say is that it's not yet hooray for a cedi kind of appreciation.
On to one of our lead stories, the Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies, Dr. Rivesing Opon, says Ghanaians may soon enjoy significantly lower fuel prices at the pumps if the cedi continues its recent run of stability. Speaking on PM Express on Joy News, Mr. Opon projected that petrol could drop as low as 12 cedis per litre by the next pricing window if the cedi holds steady.
As a matter of fact, we've seen about an average of 6 to 10% decrease, coming from the 15th to the 13th. And believe me, in the next window, we are even foreseeing going to 12. The forecast will be ready by Thursday.
12 cedis?
Just, no, I didn't say 4 cedis.
12 cedis.
12.
12 cedis?
Yeah, 12, yeah.
12 cedis. So you're expecting that petrol will be selling at 12?
Yeah, if the cedi continues to react as it does, believe me, like I mentioned, with the plateauing down of the international benchmark prices, we are likely to see that, and we shall be proud to have that effect on our consumers in Ghana.
You're still watching Business Live. We have more for you after this break. Hello again. The Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management Ghana has been urged to play a leading role in enhancing productivity and promoting standards within the public sector. This call was made by the Minister of Education, Harry Idrisu, during an official visit to the management executives at his office.
The visit said the institute should take a central role in upholding professional standards across all public sector of the economy.
And I'm happy to hear that we are talking about standards. 3 concerns, or in my experience sitting here as minister: punctuality. And then a more important issue for which I want us to have a conversation will be 2 issues. Apart from punctuality, is productivity. Now, many of the government institutions and agencies, I'll give you 2 examples. Free zones. I was chairman of free zones. It ran with 90 people. Today, I'm told there are 300. I ran NCA with 98 people, or 108. Today, I'm told it's 400. What is its relationship with productivity and best standards? I think you people must respond to this. We can't take the country for granted. That where 4 or 5 people can work, you are putting 15 people. It's unacceptable. But that's what every government institution here. Yes, we have an unemployment crisis. Deal with it, but deal with it in a manner which doesn't compromise productivity.
Responding to the minister's call, Chief Executive Officer of the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management, Dr. Francis Eduku, affirmed the institute's commitment to raising professional standards in the human resource sector.
Trying to build the gap between industry and academia is very important that we begin the conversation. And like you said, he's going to have that conversation with us. He raised two important issues that we need to look at: productivity and also the workforce size, which is very, very critical, because that's what we need to do to ensure efficiency. So as regulator, we are going to make sure we have the standards that will ensure that people are efficient so that we can support the growth.
President of the Institute, Florence Hatchford, also pledged the Institute's readiness to work collaboratively with the Ministry of Education in advance.
We wanted to introduce ourselves to him as a council and to also share with him some of our initiatives and to solicit whatever support the ministry can give the Institute.
The visit marks a renewed commitment between the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management and the Ministry of Education to prioritize human capital development, drive innovation, and enhance institutional performance within the public sector.
The Director General of the Commission for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, Zakaria Suleimana, has emphasized the need for competency or competence-based training across TVET institutions. He made this call during an interview with Joy Business at the British Council Ghana Dimension event, which showcased the successes of international skills partnerships.
Dissemination event was held to showcase the outcomes and impact of the International Skills Partnership Initiative. The event brought together key stakeholders from the education sector, industry, and policy-making bodies to reflect on the achievement of the partnership and to discuss future directions for collaborative skills development in Ghana.
Generally, we have embarked on a reform in the TVET space for more than a decade now. What we are pushing for is competency-based training, and competency-based training is emphasizing much more practical-oriented training than theoretical training. We are not condemning theoretical training, but what we are emphasizing is that training should give people or trainees.
Director General of the Ghana TVET Service, Dr. Erika Draw, urged the business community to actively support young entrepreneurs, noting that such back is essential for sustaining youth-driven innovation and employment.
But the key thing is we must know the industry players. Now, it is difficult. It is understandable that TVET is expensive. That is why we need the partnership collaboration.
Director of Programs and Partnerships at the British Council, Richard Shiagbo, called for strengthened collaboration, highlighting the importance of building more robust partnerships to enhance the reach and impact of skills development initiatives.
If you look at Ghana, for instance, looking at the population, our median age is around 21 years. And when you look at the potential youth from 19 to 29 years, it's estimated by 2030 to hit about 10.5 million. So we have a real problem at hand, and the British Council comes in to make sure that we support our technical vocational institute, how they can build confidence by having entrepreneurs in most of their schools. So we are very key in doing that as a British Council, and as I said, we propel UK and Ghana's partnership.
And that's our package. I am Pius Kojobaka. For more stories, do log on to myjoyonline.com/business. See you at 8 p.m.